David Guetta. All right. Well, my name's Natasha Castles. I'm out of Phoenix, Arizona. And I gotta tell you, it's such a relief kind of like having this distraction talking to you with everything going on in the US right now.
I know. I was thinking about this actually. I was like, wow, it must be completely out of what people are talking about in the moment to
Man,
do my interview. But
we,
it's
we
it's
scheduled this
good.
interview at the beginning of the week, and I was like, no, I can't. I need to focus. I need to know what's going on. And then today came, and I was like, you know what? I need this. I need this moment. I need to talk to somebody else. And I guess you being a Frenchman or just a worldly person that travels a lot with gigs and whatnot, is there a focus on what's happening in the US right now?
Of course, of course. Come on. I mean, this is that the America is important to the entire world. So of course, I'm following that, and also I spend a lot of time in the U.S. because I have my residency in Vegas. My girlfriend is American, so I'm very connected to everything that is happening. Of course,
Yeah,
yes.
we're
And
waiting on
what's
Vegas right
crazy is
now.
that we still don't know what's happening.
No. Well, it's quite intense, but let's talk about you. Let's talk about the music. Congratulations on this new single with Sia, Let's Love. How did this second collaboration of yours come about? And was there any pressure to recreate that same type of cultural impact that Titanium had?
To be honest, this is really a confinement record. This is all about what has been happening. I was in Miami every month of March. I spent in Miami because there's the Ultra Week, and all the DJs are flying from everywhere in the world to meet and party together, and we meet about new music, and then that was canceled. We had to stay home. I was watching the news. Everything was so depressing, and I texted Sia, and I'm like, the world needs a happy song, and that's what it's about. And the record is about going through these hard times together and not against each other. And I feel like we're living in a time where there's so much pressure between communities, between countries. Like everybody's blaming everybody. It's really crazy. Social differences being, even bigger with coronavirus. All of this is happening, and I feel like this is really a moment that the world needs love and unity. So that's what the song is about, and we did it 100% in confinement. Me on my laptop in Miami, and Sia, without an engineer, she cut her own vocals in her house in LA.
Well, she's got this beautiful, beautiful vocals. Yeah. Whew. Well, this next question I want to ask you is mostly based on my experience talking to Sia, and you guys have a good working relationship. Has she ever doubled as your therapist? Because
um,
we had a therapy session when I interviewed her. We had a therapy session. Let me tell you.
uh, well, I remember when we started to work together, we were actually working, me as a producer and her as a songwriter. And this Titanium was going to be for another artist. And I loved it so much that I was like, listen, no one can sing this song like you. It's going to be impossible. Please stay on the record. And at that time, she didn't want to be an artist anymore because she felt like the life was really too hard, and she was tired of it, So I know a little bit about this side too, but actually, because you were saying this is our second collaboration, but it's not. We've done many records since she became that huge superstar, but she's been incredibly loyal with me, and yeah, we made quite a few records together.
Now your birthday is right around the corner. I know you got the EMAs planned, the EMAs, I'm sorry, in
Yes.
Budapest planned. Any other birthday plans that you got to do this
Well,
time?
there are two things happening the weekend of my birthday. Like every year there's like a big vote organized by DJ Mag, and it's going to be the result of who's the number one DJ. So, you
Really?
know, I hope for the best. And that's on my birthday. And then the day after, I'm doing the performance at the EMAs with MTV, and I'm also nominated. So, I mean, it would be nice birthday presents to win. You know, why not?
No big deal. You know, just throwing that out there. No unfair bias there. Now, I read the story where Madonna refused to work with you because of your astrological sign. Do you find something, I guess, do you find it interesting that people will shape their life around these concepts? Is it good? Is it bad? Is
Yeah,
it,
you know, I'm a little bit, it's a little bit embarrassing now because I never told that story because that was like 10 years ago.
uh,
And I never told that story. And I was doing an interview with some really funny guys on YouTube in France. So I was like, no one's going to know about it.
we're glad.
And then it went everywhere, viral like crazy, you know. So, but yes, it was an interesting moment, let's say, you know. I'm not judging, you know. It was like, yeah, it was interesting because she asked me, you know, to come uh, to have lunch with her. And she was really nice, and we talked about her album. And then at the end, when it was dessert, she asked me what sign I was, and I was very surprised by the reaction.
Now that this story is blown up, have you had any contact with her?
No, well, yeah, actually, we met a couple of times, and I always joke with her manager. You know, like every time we joke, like, it's such a shame that you're a Scorpio. Because you
Hard.
know, I've seen him many times in festivals, or you know, on like industry parties
You
and
could have
stuff
made
like that.
beautiful
It
music
became
together.
like a joke, but maybe it was an excuse. I don't know. You know,
Who knows?
who knows?
Now, with music trends always evolving, and you have been at the forefront a lot of the times with those trends, was it ever hard to train your ear to adapt as the sounds evolve?
Of course. You know, this is part of my job, and sometimes I'm super inspired, and sometimes I'm like leading the trend, and sometimes I'm less inspired, and I'm a professional, so I can make a good record in the vibe of, you know, what's trendy. But usually those records, they do okay, but the ones that are really killing it are the ones that start a little slower because they're a little bit different, but then they become really huge. So yeah, you know, I've been doing this for 20 years now, so I had all those different moments in my career, and but I still do it with as much passion and maybe even more. It's actually one of the most inspiring moment of my life as a musician, because you know it's very strange, but when you're a successful artist, uh, you make less and less music because the more on the road, more interviews, more business meetings, more marketing meetings, and confinement has been really incredible for me. If I'm honest, you know, of course I'm very lucky because you know I have enough money on the side, so I don't need to worry about how I'm going to pay my rent next month. So I'm of course I'm privileged and I'm completely aware of that. But at the same time, yes, that to be able for me to focus on my family and just make music every is it was very good for my music at least.
That was gonna be my next point. I've heard you say that you feel like you're in a free space and you're able to make music for fun again. What have you found yourself exploring that might surprise others?
Well, I've done tons of different things. You know, I'm a DJ first, so you know, dance music is very important to me. I've created this new sound together with my friend Morton. It's called Future Rave, and this became like the hottest sound in the DJ community right now. So that was like really cool to have again this big cultural impact, you know, on our community. And then, you know, for a few years, I was trying to always like do what I did in the past, which was combine you know, like, let's say underground electronic dance music with a pop song. And now I was like, okay, I'm gonna go when I do, you know, club records or festival records, I'm gonna go 100%. And it's okay to go also 100% pop, which is what I did with Let's Love with Sia. You know, I'm not trying to, you know, be played in the festivals, even though I did make a remix
Of
for
course.
DJs, but I really wanted to capture that feel good vibe of the 80s, you know, because I wanted to make that happy song, and then, you know, we started by just composing a record from the piano and her singing. And then I was like, when I was looking for inspiration about, you know, something that would inspire people and make them feel good and happy and go through a difficult moment, I felt like the 80s were probably the moment where they were completely shamelessly, you know, happy and those huge choruses. Because I was remembering, you know, probably the biggest record I produced in my life is "I Got a Feeling" with the Black Eyed Peas, and that was in the middle of the financial crisis. You know, it's early '09, and it like the world was a disaster at that time,
We're still
and we
playing
made
it on
that.
the radio today.
Mhm.
It's still being played on the radio today.
Exactly. And
Yep.
you know, but it was interesting to see that at a moment that everything was so wrong, to make just a simple feel good record was so right, you know. And so basically I based myself on this experience for this new record with Sia.
And you've been exploring, I guess, the world of social media. You've been a lot more fun in creating some cool visuals on the socials, I see. With the, what was the one you recently posted with the
Oh, with the yeah, yeah.
arm and, you know, playing the record on there? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it went pretty strong and viral. Yes, this video. Yes, absolutely. Plus, I have kids, you know, so they're on TikTok all day long. So I had no other choice than to learn about this culture. And yeah, it's also interesting musically because you know, I realized that it's influencing the charts very much.
Yeah,
So yeah.
TikTok, TikTok numbers and whatnot. I didn't know you had kids. How old are they?
So I have a 16 and a 12.
Oh,
Oh, I apologize for this.
oh, good. Uh, are they into like their? Do they realize their dad is David Guetta? Do they care?
Wait, what? I apologize. I'm gonna because
You want to
hold
answer
on,
it?
baby. I'm doing an interview right now. I'm on. I'm online. You want to say hello? I said I had an American girlfriend. So bye bye.
You appreciate my persistence. Okay,
Yeah, bye. Because sorry, she
You're
kept
gonna call
calling.
twice. I know. I understand. I will call twice. Don't ignore my call the first time. What the heck? But do your kids care that you're David Guetta? Do they realize the magnitude or like how the rest of the world views you as like this legendary producer?
Yeah, they got used to actually. You know, I used to live in France, and I left France because of that. Because when I left France, I was really like on TV and in the magazines all the time in my country, and it became a problem for my kids. And I moved to London with my kids at that time because I wanted them to grow up like normal kids, you know. And I mean, even though of course people know me, but it was more acceptable, you know, because people were like running after me in the street at that time, and my kids were really scared and would cry and all of this.
I understand.
So yeah, they of course they know what I do now. They advise me, which is amazing. We have like marketing strategy meeting, and it's so cool.
That's pretty cool. Now, I do want to get up more on a serious note and take you back to something that happened earlier this year in June. You and your team organized what would have been like the closest thing to a rave in the middle of a pandemic where people kind of enjoyed your music outside on their balconies during quarantine. And at the same time, the US, our country, was going through this, or is still going through this civil crisis where George Floyd had been murdered by the hands of the police. And you dedicated your set with really good intention, shouting out his family, and unfortunately it wasn't received so well online. Was that a learning moment for you on how to use your platform in regards to the civil rights movement?
Yes, it was, to be honest, I still didn't, I still don't understand what happened to me. I think it's probably a language thing, because of course I'm French and I don't necessarily understand the finesse of the language, you know. But a lot of this had to do with, I met it was that show was in New York City, and it was happening at that specific night where, you know, people started to go in the street and all of this. And I used the Martin Luther King speech on the top of a record that I made specially for that show, and wanted to dedicate it to him and his family. And I mean, especially that speech to me doesn't have color. You know, this is a speech that is for everyone. You know, and so I don't know why some people took it bad. I think maybe, like I said, it's the language. If I offended anyone, of course, I'm sorry. And I apologize, but it was really coming from a good place. And, you know, like, my kids are mixed race, you know, so the mother of my kids is Black, so it was like a little bit strange to be accused of being racist or anything like this, or to misunderstand what I was saying, you know.
Yeah, it was just interesting in a sense. I wouldn't say in a racist connotation, maybe in, like you said, with the language barrier, it came off as tone deaf online, which I don't think it was. I think it was you using your platform, and it happened to be scheduled during this happening, and you performed and you wanted to do something to turn your listeners' attention to the cause.
Exactly. And, you know, I was out, you know, in the demonstrations in London with my kids and their mother. So, you know, anyway, you know, it happened, it's passed, you know. And yeah, I think, you know, you always learn from every experience. I think, you know, what I've learned is that it's very delicate when it's not your language to express yourself about such important themes. So yeah, maybe next time I would speak in French if I would have to say something about a touchy subject.
On a lighter note, I did watch your Martin Garrix Timbaland Evolution of Sound. It was such a cool conversation between not just different genres, but like even the Martin Garrix, like a different generation there.
Absolutely.
Timbaland being one of the masterminds behind the versus battles. Are you familiar with those?
Yes, of course. I love it.
So the celebration of hip hop and other iconic moments like Gladys Knight versus Patti LaBelle, I wanted to kind of like test you or see what you would think of an electronic music version of a versus battle, and who would you put up against each other? Or would it be David Guetta versus somebody else?
Yeah, it would need, I think the only person that could really do that would be Calvin Harris.
With the radio hits?
Yeah. On the long term, I mean, there's been other people, Chainsmokers, definitely, Calvin Harris, but with so many hits, yeah, I think it would be probably the three of us. Probably.
I know we were trying to I was having that conversation with my PD also. I was like, who would you put like with David Guetta? We suggested like a Tiesto or Afrojack and, you know, Cascade, more, even if it's not just radio, like some festival hits or underground hits that, you know, people are still resonating with.
Oh yeah, yeah. In that case, but because you usually those hip hop records, the verses, they're about like more like radio hits or like really huge records. So yeah, in that case, of course, there would be more people.
Yeah.
Obviously, like people like Chase who have like an amazing career, or even Carl Cox, of people that had like this longevity. There are many of them, of course.
Well, David, I appreciate you for your time. Thank you so much for making music with Seal once again. And this new record, you said, is the Rave.
Oh, Future Rave, that's
Right,
something
yes.
else. That's a full project. You'll see. Actually, I've done something very very cool that might be, because this is really a little more on the DJ side, a little more underground. But it's really big. You can check it out online if you want. But I just made a record that might have the potential to cross over a little more with that sound. So maybe you'll hear from it very soon.
Well, very excited for you and happy early birthday. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye. Bye.